What's up, everybody? Orange Podcast Bad. What are we on? We're on 15 now. I
Episode
think we
15.
I think we got eight of the Canucks in, so we're approaching. We're going to be getting on 30 episodes here in the next week or so. Insane! And one of the best things I like about it, because I have to, when I send these out, like there's people that just like to listen, or they've sent comments that I listen in the car, on the way home the next day. And so I have to compile those and send them off to different apps. But it's pretty hilarious. Some of as I'm watching these and I'm doing that work, is the outros. So the song starts playing again, and everybody's still talking in the background. It's like the end of a Seinfeld episode, and
Yeah.
people are like, "How the fuck do I turn this off?" And what's going on? And oh my god, I wasn't done saying this. And can anybody hear me? Like that last 30 seconds of our show, freaking gold, dynamite, dynamite, Paul. I got to tell you, it's freaking hilarious.
That's awesome.
How you doing? What's going on?
So I'm Paul. I'm here to help Sean and glad to have everybody on board. And we're going to talk about interesting stuff as we do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I'm just damn glad that I'm able to be here.
We might even have a Canuck show up later. I invited someone else too, but I didn't warn him. We'll see. We'll see if we can get some West Coast representation. If not, no worries. We can do this all by ourselves. We just like
Oh,
our
we
friends.
can. We're totally capable, dude.
So we closed out yesterday having a very good time. And Trump at his 100-day rally, dude, that was so awesome. It was epic. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. But he said to Gretchen, the Gretch, hey, we're going to keep your base open, your air base. Which totally makes sense to me. We're going to possibly have some northern border issues over the next year or so until Carney learns how to calm himself. So totally cool with me, but he said we're going to replace your retiring A-10 fleet with F-15 Eagles, and I was like, what? But I've got a bunch of issues with this because so the F-47 is supposed to be coming online. They've been testing it for a couple of years. There's probably a multi-award contract out there. Well, we know there's a contract out there, but a multi-award subsystems, right? I'm under the impression that should probably be the last manned fighter jet in America because we have moved past that with technology. I mean, at this point, AI drones is going to be the Gen 7 stuff. But if you're going to have close support air combat, the Black Hawk's not your thing. This isn't Vietnam. And I don't see the Eagle replacing the Warthog. So what say you, sir?
So I say that this has been put out to R&D, to industry, to come up with a replacement for the A-10 outside of the F-15. So the F-15 has a lot of drawbacks and stuff. The great thing about the A-10 is the loiter time, and of course the GAU in the nose, and that kind of thing. So uh, uh, Embraer has come up with the A-29 Super Tucano. So the regular Tucano A-29 is a single engine sliding canopy trainer that's been around for quite some time. So the Super Tucano has upgraded the STCs and upgraded its wings to be able to carry all the armament that an A-10 could carry. The advantage is it can fly, 350, 400 knots, loiter over the battlefield at a low speed relatively, and drop ordnance. and the other one uh, is a Beechcraft product called the AT6. So the AT6 is a variation of the T6 trainer. So yeah, you
Okay.
remember Sean the T6 Texan, which
Mm-hmm.
was it goes, it's had different iterations, but that's been the training aircraft all the way back to World War II. So they've had these T6s around for a long time. So Beechcraft has taken the original design of the T6 and made it an AT6 and did the same thing that Embraer did and beefed up the wings so that it could carry all of the armament. The difference, the main difference between those two aircraft and the A-10 is the GAU in the nose. So you can't hang a GAU on a wing.
Right.
It's just too big. And if you look at a cutaway of an A-10, you see that GAU and all the ammo and all that stuff goes underneath the cockpit. It goes all the way to the
Oh
back of the
yeah.
aircraft.
Oh
So
yeah.
you can't do that. So the trade-off is hanging I think both I'm not sure, but I think both of them are hanging 50 cals uh, on their wings,
Okay.
you know, to do that, dive bombing, strafing and that kind of thing. So that's the trade-off with the A-10. But uh, as far as armament goes, both the A-29 Super Tucano and the AT-6 Wolverine carry all of the armament on their wings that an A-10 can carry. And so I don't think
So
the
it
the Air Force is still trying to make a decision. They're even trying to say that the F-35 could also be a close air support, which is it's not even feasible.
that's retarded.
Yeah.
That's retarded. So the two aircraft you're talking about, especially I'm curious about the Beech, because guys who like to fly twin Beaches like to pimp people who fly Cessnas. So are these turboprop planes or are they jet like an A-10?
They're both
So
outfitted
they're
with the
so they're
same.
they're topping out at 450 knots. They can't
Yeah,
get to
they're both
600.
yeah, they're both topped out with the Pratt& and Whitney turbo, uh, engine. That's what's running the single prop.
Oh, it's a single prop? I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
it looks like a World War II fighter
I
is what it
don't so
looks
it
like.
looks like a P-51, a
It
Mustang.
look Yeah, exactly. That's exactly
How,
especially the Super Tucano. It looks like a P-51 with a bunch of crap hanging off the wings.
how does it have the payload capacity compared to an A-10 with those two beautiful small jet engines left and right?
Well, what they did is they strengthened the wings. So you're
Okay.
talking 1,400 horsepower with those turbo Pratt& and Whitneys. I mean, they got
Yeah.
plenty, they're plenty of horsepower, plenty of torque and that kind of stuff. So they could carry the payload.
Okay.
Uh, they just don't have that awesome GAU in the nose.
So, what would your opinion be of the modern A10 platform, and we just take some gizmos from the 22 and the 35 to make it a glass cockpit?
That's what you do.
Close.
You do a glass cockpit upgrade to the A10 because it's all, gas vial. Their whole dashboard is gas vial. You upgrade them and put the latest and greatest glass cockpit in there, uh, and you keep going. There's even the oh dang, I forget the engines on the A10. but there's even an upgrade on the engines that they could hang off of the A10 that are part of the multi-fuel family that the Army looks at. So that, the same fuel that runs a Humvee, same fuel that runs an Abrams tank is the same fuel that runs the A10. Whereas now it's JP7 or, some variation of JP7 that runs the A10. So,
Which is
so you
just a
do a multi-fuel upgrade to the engines. You do
yes.
a glass cockpit, and you put the latest GAU in because there's new iterations. They put those on the Spectre AC-130. They've got the
Oh
new
yeah.
GAUs on
Yep.
them, and so you retrofit the A10 with the new GAU, and you just get after it, dude.
Well, and those things can aerate a football field in 3 seconds.
And put around every 6 square inches
Right.
and
That's my
cover a
point.
football field. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to aerate a football field, use a C-17
Yep.
every time. And yeah, I think look a big plus on the A10, right, is the cannon up front, the GAU. Because you could drop ordnances from low levels, or I don't care if you drop them from 20,000 feet, as long if depending on the ordnance, right? But it's that ability to come in and like so some of these countries still fight World War One trench style, and they'll throw tanks out there and to rip a line of tank to shreds with the GAU in 3 seconds and be gone faster than you even saw them coming,
Sure. Yeah.
right?
And you're not gonna shoot a man pad or any kind of shoulder fired, RPG or anything at an A10 and be successful.
You can against the Blackhawk. I had a guy got really mad at me. He even blocked me because I said the Blackhawk it doesn't have the speed. I said I'm glad you like your helicopter. That's cool. They've outlived modern technology,
Yeah.
including a man pad.
Yep. Yeah, and it's the same. I would say it's the same with the Wolverine and the Super Tucano. They got a great climb rate and stuff, but they're exposed, dude. They're 350, 400 knots, and your belly's exposed to the battlefield.
Well,
It
that's
might
what,
not work out pretty well for you.
and I know the
And
A10's.
then if you have to put countermeasures on it, you understand those countermeasures are like $5 million, each.
Yes.
And to put those on a single engine, low wing, sliding canopy aircraft is not a good ROI. Your return on investment is just not there.
Well, and I think some people, just out of nostalgia, right, forget that we are moving. Like, okay, the 47, Trump announced the F-47 fighter jet that's coming online. I'm guessing, in all honesty, that might be the last manned fighter jet that America flies because uh, we've got the technology now. And well, imagine pulling a 10G turn with no human inside. Imagine the things that our aircraft are gonna do in the next 10 to 30 years, as it increases in capability, because the aircraft can do it, the human can't do it. Uh,
I'm I
if
and I got to
peop
tell you, I am not convinced that all F-47s will have pilots.
I agree. I think there's going to be
There
iterations that are
might be
pilotless.
20 to 30% of them that don't have pilots.
How much cabin space does a human take up too that could be used for some other equipment?
Right.
Honestly, I know it's not a ton, but it's definitely some. And you have to have a pressurized cabin. You have to have all kinds of things for the human inside of
So
it.
so here's the other thing, Sean. That's a So the Super Tucano and the Wolverine are not pressurized.
So they're 10,000 feet or
But
less.
you're 10 to 12,000 feet. That's your max ceiling,
That
and
won't
that's it.
work. That won't work. Ari's calling. I'll have to text him, tell him we're live. Well, wait. So what are they gonna do? Just spacesuit the freaking the guys in the Tacoma or whatever? Is that what their plan is? And then stick them up there for 5 hours and hope the spacesuit works? 10,000 feet is low. You're talking about Houthis could reach that with some of the tech they buy from
Oh,
other countries.
they got the U.S. version of the Patriot, and all that kind of stuff that could reach up there easily. But again, a single engine turboprop versus an F-15 Eagle. There. So, are you going to mount a GAU and an F-15? I don't think there's room.
There ain't no room.
I don't think there's room. They use a lot of those F-15s for radar jamming and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Because they can pack on all of the uh, IT stuff on there.
Yeah. I
But I don't see that thing loitering around a battle space. So the last big A10 confrontation was in Iraq in 2009, and there were three A10 pilots that were literally in the butts and seats for over 10 hours.
wow.
So they literally were raining hellfire and damnation, going up to 30,000 feet, refueling, and getting back into the fight. You're
Wow.
not going to do that with any propeller driven aircraft.
Where do you think
Just not.
Trump's
But I want to qualify that by saying in Mexico, Central and South America, the Super Tucano and the Wolverine are probably perfect for that kind of close air support against the cartels, against the
sure?
cocaine guy. You know what I mean? Oh, that probably works well there, but it's not going to work in the modern battle space.
So who would you think maybe I know you don't have a name, but just in generalities, who's feeding Trump bad information about the warthog and the need to retire it? Because I don't think it's Hegseth.
No, I don't think it's Hegseth. I think it's the legacy Air Force guys that are saying that because they've got that, uh, OTH stuff in their battle plan over the horizon. They're trying to, plan out. Dude, KC-135 refuelers are 1958, 1960 135s. And they
Yeah,
are just now, after all these years, just now going to a KC-147.
right. There's just so with the way I look at all of this, there you don't have to get rid of the old just to get rid of the old if the old is good. Make the old new, right? Give it modern stuff. If it's the best thing we have, make it even better. We
And,
have the technology.
yeah, like I said last night, that's exactly what they did with the B-52 because the B-1, the B-2, the B-2B, none of those can do what the B-52 can do,
Right,
is drop precision ordnance at 70,000 feet.
right.
Oh my God. Are
Well, and
you
that's
kidding me?
and again, 70,000 feet for those of you listening is important because you're basically out of range of most other countries' jets. You're out of range of most of their rocketry ability to get you. And once you increase your altitude beyond 70,000, there's almost nothing that, except for a hypersonic missile, that could even find
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
And
yep,
so, and we built this capability way back
right.
in the
And
50s.
so the other thing to realize is when the B-52 fleet takes off, um, I don't know what they call it now, Sean, but in my generation, it was the AWACS.
Hmm.
It was a 135 with the big disc on top. They don't
Yep.
use that anymore. They got a modern version of that, but that goes with them and runs the battle space. So these B-52s are just going out, going on target, and this whatever platform it is.
I don't know what the modern one is, but what I do know about the modern one is it's so sophisticated that it creates its own internet connection between all of its support vehicles,
Correct,
including the B-52s or the fighter jets. And we send them up whenever we are doing something of that
correct.
nature. And
Yeah,
it just connects the entire, it could connect
the
a
the
thousand
entire battle
miles,
zone.
a
So you got a
thousand miles
forward
away.
air controller. You got some 25-year-old senior airman that is seconded with the Deltas and the Rangers, and they're like 39 degrees west,
Yep.
49 degrees south, you know, and that goes up to that bird, and that bird says to the B-52s, this is where you need to lay ordnance,
Yeah.
and they lay ordnance.
And drop them from 70,000 feet.
And
And
you can't hear it, you can't see it, you don't even know. You're just sitting there going, this is cool AF. Yeah.
sipping your tea on the porch, and all of a sudden you're
Right.
vaporized.
Right.
You have no idea.
You're like,
No idea.
wow, look at that. Hey, dude, look at that.
The weather's great today. Vaporized. I laugh because it's funny. Well, listen, I don't take people's deaths lightly, but when they're doing bad stuff, war happens. Wars happened all throughout the Bible, so don't get at me, bro. If you have a problem with this, email Sean Hannity at yahoo.com. I'm sure he has a Yahoo account. He'll answer those. I think the Canucks not going to make it. I think he's got an
No, he
extra.
sent me a text. He said, I can't make it, bro.
Well, I want to talk about this mineral rights deal because he was poo poo on it in our text group, right? And then it means nothing. So obviously, all the influencer accounts who copy and paste their shit from some sort of DM group, yeah, don't tell me that's not happening. And all ran to the X and posted, there's a mineral rights deal. What does that mean? Well, it's actually called, words matter, the Ukrainian U.S. Reconstruction Fund. All right, so let's dig into what's happening. First, yes, there's a minimal rights deal. Yes, U.S. companies will be mining aluminum, other things. I mean, we need aluminum for us hobbyists over here that want to build ultralights. As long as you keep it below 350 pounds, you don't need to have your pilot's license. All hobbyists, get after it. Get up there. Get your ultralights built. What what Donald Trump did here is way bigger than people are understanding. He just put himself and America as a giant buffer between Russia and Europe. We're now going to have
100%,
companies
dude.
there.
100%, because those are going to be U.S. owned mineral fields, and now they might use local labor
Yep.
and that kind of thing, but it's going to be U.S. owned, and it's going to be off limits to Russia.
We're going to put airstrips in there so we can airlift equipment in and out, minerals in and out. I think people are missing all this on the internet right now. Is what Trump just said to Europe was, screw you, you're not going to start this war. The Cold War is over. I'm literally just going to go over into Ukraine and stand in between you and go,
Yep.
nope, you're
Yep.
not doing this. We're done.
And do you know
And,
what I think, Sean? I think Putin's okay with it. I
mm-hmm.
think he's like, okay, we don't want to dig down in there and stuff, but you got to give us back Crimea,
Donetsk
uh,
and Donbass.
and yeah, exactly, and that's it. Those are Russian speakers. They consider themselves Russian. It's no sweat off Ukraine's back, but
Zelensky was putting mines in their
you got this
towns.
little Napoleon dude that refuses to wear a suit, trying to position himself. No, no, dude. I don't care if Chuck Schumer's your best buddy, and that's because he's getting 100 million a year from Raytheon. It does.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. I don't give two shits, dude. That shit is gone. You need to find the next big play to BAE, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, Skunk Works, all that kind of stuff, because this whole thing has been about the big three or big four defense contractors unloading their aged bench stock so that they could finance R&D on the next big thing. That's all
Sure.
it's about. It's
Sure.
not about freedom. It's not about
Never
NATO.
been. It
About
was
it's
never about.
all about those guys, and that's it.
It was never about freedom. Like, oh, God, we've gone over this a million times, but in short, we just had politicians not necessarily elected, like, yeah, and then you have Madeleine Albright, who still
Oh,
are living in the world
yeah.
of the USSR is still alive. I actually quote posted some moron tiny account that said Russia, is run by a KGB guy. The USSR is still. And I laughed. I guess, yeah, of course, yeah, Putin was a KGB. Said, but you need to let go of the mindset of the Cold War. You do. There's
Yeah.
bigger and better things that can be done,
Right.
and there's trade deals to be made. And Putin said a year and a half ago, and then again 90 days ago, I would be willing to make a mineral rights deal with Donald Trump inside of Russia. I would let Donald
Of
Trump
course. Yeah, 100%.
mine
And I
some
don't
of.
think that's not going to happen.
Right.
Because Trump's going to say, "Hey, bro, I'm going to help you get back on your feet again," right? But what we want is the lithium that you have over in this section and that section,
And you're going to give us free passage to it.
and you're going to give us passage to it. Yeah,
Yeah, right. I don't think I really don't think Putin's going to have any issue because he's indicated that he's already made the offer. Yes, I will do a mineral rights deal with the United States, and I think what people miss here about Russia is that Russia wants to be on the world stage and they're willing to make plays with the West. Does that mean you trust them or you like them? I don't trust anybody. I like very few people in my world, right?
yeah,
But if they're willing to make me a deal, right, that's the good old boy system.
that's exactly right. And I also think
And now I'm gonna have a big, beautiful runway inside of Russia.
right. Yeah, and I also think the mindset of Putin wants to bring back the USSR is stupid.
It
It's
is.
just stupid.
It is.
He doesn't want that. He wants to have trade so he can make money. He wants to be able to uh, interact, commerce, with other countries, and including and probably mostly the U.S.,
Absolutely.
so that his country could be healthy again. He doesn't give a shit about the USSR, and he's that era KGB guy, but that doesn't necessarily mean, he wants to promote Stalin's
I don't
legacy
think
or whatever.
I
It's
don't
just
think
bullshit.
he's felt that way for at least 20 years. I
At
think he's
least.
been I think he's been trying to get the West to just accept them as part of the global economy, and the West has
Dude,
continued to go, USSR, you're bad.
he has signed 3 treaties over the last 15 years that we broke or NATO broke. Not, it wasn't because he wanted to, take over Estonia. He signed these in good faith, and we fucked him every single time. And he's still willing to go, come on to the table, let's make an agreement.
Did you notice though? It's interesting that he goes, I will only do this with Trump. I'm not going to do it with the turnip. He
Oh,
refused to
absolutely.
make a
Yeah.
deal with the turnip.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll only do it with Trump. Trump's the only one that can actually make this happen.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Biden doesn't even make eye contact. Did you see that doddering no fool today? He came out and got all mad about shit and, you know, come on, dude. You're done. Go back to Delaware, lay on the beach, enjoy
Yeah,
your retirement. You are nowhere near Obama. He's trying to be, I still have a say. No, you don't.
I don't think he thinks any of that. I think Jill and Hunter think that, and they're pushing this. It's elder
Oh,
abuse.
oh,
Elder
really?
abuse. And they're pushing this old man out there, giving him prepared speeches that they edit beforehand his entire, like Jill's entire team, because she is mad as hell that she got kicked out of the White House. Because
Yeah,
god damn it, she's Edith Galt Wilson. She was the
yeah,
goddamn president, and she knows it,
yeah.
and she held it out over people. And I think 20 years from now, when the truth comes out and when CNN's dead and Fox is dead because the boomers have all gone to heaven, and a new form of media, which is slowly gaining traction, proves it, you're going to find out that she was running the office the entire time.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
like Edith Galt Wilson after Woodrow had a
yeah,
stroke.
yeah.
I don't see it any other way. So when they're
No,
pushing him out
you got
there,
no argument for me on that.
when they're pushing him out there, I don't think it's him going out there. Look at me, I'm as cool as Obama. I'm convinced that the entire 4 years he was president, he still thought Obama was the president. He's made references to it in speeches. When people say, here's the president of the United States, he goes, "Well, I'd look around. I don't see Obama." I don't think he was kidding. I don't think that was a joke. I really don't.
I know. I think you're right, bro.
Mm. So, anyways, Ukraine, I think this is going to work out in the long run. It didn't happen on day one like Trump said it would, but you got to stop listening to what Trump says and watch what the deal is made when the deal is done. And
When
people
he
just need to
said,
stop.
when he said today at his cabinet meeting, he said there are 5,000 people a week, or soldiers a week, both from Ukraine and Russia, are dying.
Yeah.
He said, I've been down to a battlefield and seen body parts strewn across a field a la World War One, trench warfare. He said, that shit's gonna stop. It is gonna stop.
It has to. I want to make very clear to our audience, who gets frustrated sometimes. Not all. Most of our audience is very pro-Trump, but they get frustrated. You got to stop when Trump says words. Just go cool. The thing with Trump, right, is the deals that will be made.
Yeah,
And that's what's important that comes out of anything Trump does.
right.
Trump gets
100%.
up and just says words.
Yep.
Laugh at it, joke about it, have a fun with it, rally about it, call him, say, hey, wait a minute. You said on day one. They were just words. This is how
Yep.
Trump operates. And we got to go over the rules of Trumpism again. Rule number one, Trump wins. Rule number two, a deal can always be made as long as it adheres to rule number one. So rule number one was achieved today in a mineral rights deal.
Yep.
And I think there's a victory in all you guys that have these. I don't know how you do it. You must be on Telegram or Signal. You all come out with the exact same scripted thing and post it to X, and we all watch.
To me, Sean, that is so hilarious. And what's disappointing is that it's only relegated, to X or whatever. But I just I love when I saw this one the other day. It's probably old news now, but it showed, Schumer and Pelosi saying the same thing. And then the announcer comes back on and goes, but wait, there's more. And then there were 7 of them saying the same thing. And then the announcer comes back on and goes, but wait, there's more. And he had like 28 people in these little boxes, all regurgitating verbatim the same thing.
It doesn't matter whether it's on the right or on the left. Yes, there is a group on either side that they all apparently they all get the memo at the exact same time.
So my thing is, where's the memo coming from? Who's putting the memo out? That's who I want to talk to.
Yeah.
That's who I want to identify. That's the one I want to bring out in the open.
Absolutely. It's frustrating. And look, they get a lot of people, and when they get it wrong badly, right? It's awful, but they got the memo, so they hit copy, they opened up a post, they hit paste, and they hit send. They have no idea whether any of the information is actually true or not.
They don't care.
I can't even remember what it was, but there was one a couple of days ago.
So that begs the question of the leadership of all media, ABC, NBC, CNN, MSNBC. They're all getting these inputs, and they put that out to their people and say, these are the talking points.
Yeah.
I want to know who's the boogeyman, who's the great big guy that or great big machine that says this is what you're going to say, and without exception, all of mainstream media is on board with it.
It happens in social media too, but I will like if you look at 1940s and 1950s propaganda, who are the two companies that owned the wire? And by the wire, I mean the telegram. The ticker. Remember the news ticker?
Oh yeah,
CBS, they'd show it running in the background
yeah.
as they were updating, was Associated Press and Reuters. And I wonder if they're still guilty of running a ticker but through a signal chat.
Oh wow. Yeah,
Just,
you know what? That could be, Sean.
just throwing it out there. I mean,
Yeah,
because we've seen the video of the ticker of the those two big companies
yeah.
when it was actually a ticker, a printed ticker tape. And like I remember specifically on CBS, I think 60 Minutes used the ticker as part of their promo on their open, right? Their opening 30-second clip.
Oh,
They would
that
go,
yeah, that was yeah, it came across a chyron or whatever they call it at the beginning of the show. Yeah.
right.
And
So,
and so what it affects is so for example, both my sisters are in their 70s
mm-hmm,
and they record Lester Holt.
sure.
They record because they think he's handsome and dashing. And so
Got that deep
that's
voice.
where they choose to get all of their news from.
Yeah.
I I go over there, Tanya and I go to the ant hill to visit, and I put on OAN or something, and they're like, "What's this?" And I'm like, "It's a news outlet." Uh,
Right.
well, they're saying this, that, the other. That's not what Lester said. I'm oversimplifying it, but you get what
Sure.
I mean. Yeah,
Sure. Cool. I gotta tell you, moving out here to help with mom. She's not going to change. I would say she mostly used to vote Republican until I don't know if she's changed, but I got a good inclination that she's changed. That she's gotten into her late 60s and now into her mid 70s. Um, and yeah, she like just recently has started to say, "Why doesn't the TV tell me about all the stuff you're telling me?"
right,
And she's starting to have that connection of what I don't. You tell me such a different story than
right,
what's on the propaganda box. She doesn't say this. I say this propaganda box
right.
that's on the wall, and she goes even local news. And I said,
Yeah,
yeah, they're all captured. And news isn't perfect anywhere, but you have way more sources
right.
on X. And I said, so your Facebook, because you do love that, is totally curated to the Progressive Party.
Yeah.
And she's like, but I see, no, you really don't.
You don't see. Yeah.
You might
And
see
I do
some
that every
moderate,
time I go to the anthill, Sean. We have that conversation. And they're like, well, where in the hell did you get that from? And I'm
uh,
like, listen, Lester was disingenuous when he said that. So part of what he said is true, but he didn't tell you the whole story. And the whole story includes this, 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 and this. And they're like, what?
right?
What? Really? And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
Do they ever listen to talk radio? Because I got a guy for them.
They don't.
It's a bummer because some people that are TV watchers during the day are radio listeners, or sorry, at night, or radio listeners during the day. I got a good one. Nobody's ever going to be Rush, but this guy's pretty authentic, and I try to listen to him during the week. By the way, Tony Katz, I'm giving you a shout out. You can find him anywhere by just looking up Tony Katz. Today,
Are you saying CASH?
Katz, Tony Katz.
Cats, KATZ. Okay.
Yeah, and you can find him anywhere. Just look up Tony Katz. Just like us, he does his radio show. We don't have one of those yet. We'll see. Who knows? Someone might give us a deal. But he's on all the same things we are. He's on iHeart. He's on Spotify. He's on YouTube. He's on Rumble, just like we are here. He's on X. He's doing the same thing we're doing, Paul. And he's got a really good view on the world. He's conservative, not Republican. He's registered Republican because that's the only way he can vote for conservatism.
Right.
Sound kind of like us.
Sounds like us. Yep.
Right? And he's pretty good. He's got a really good read at the world. The only thing, and I will argue with him occasionally online with, is he still believes that Russia's imperial. And I say they're no different than United States is imperial. Every country wants to have some moderate expansion. Okay,
Sure.
we're all imperial. Deal with it.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we looking at? Panama?
I got no argument with that.
Greenland?
Yeah.
Canada?
Yeah.
Greenland? Orange Land? Yeah. Listen, I also thought, I was thinking about this after last night, and I know the loss that our poor friend Edward, the Canuck, is feeling. I'm wondering, and he's gonna have to look into this farther. It's his problem, not my problem. But if Trump's actually winning that, because Alberta's already started a separatist movement, they want to secede, which would be basically like if you look at North Dakota and Wyoming, straight north of that. That's Alberta.
Yeah, that would be Alberta. Yeah.
Yeah, or we could call it gay North Dakota. I don't really care. But if Trump's actually winning this war against Canada in his war of words, where provinces actually start seceding from Canada and apply to be a territory, not a state, a territory. You got to start there.
Yeah.
And I have no problem. Like a lot of people say, screw Canada. I'm not taking them on. There's way too many liberals. I already deal with California.
Right.
I already deal with Chicago.
Don't want to deal with the healthcare. None of that shit. Yeah.
But if they're willing to just separate and go, hey, we still need a little protection here. Can we be a territory like Puerto Rico or any of your other 17 territories?
Right.
I'm all in. I'm totally all in.
Yeah.
And does that make me imperial? Probably.
No.
What's your beef with Russia?
Yeah. So I actually think, and I've done a little research, I actually think Alberta would be a great addition.
Yeah, me too.
Oh yeah. They got cowboys, they got big ranches. They're right in line with the American way of life. They really are. They're not the Toronto urban or any of that kind of stuff. They're really, I'd say, pragmatic.
Yeah.
Just common sense things.
They are separatists in the same way that, look, the Libertarian Party in America is never going to win. But in the way that American libertarians just want to be left alone and have a tiny government, They're
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
They're more American than anybody living in Chicago.
Yeah. 100%. Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah.
Well, you caught me off guard there, Sean. That's good.
So listen, I'm okay. I'm okay with if they're gonna call it annexing, I'm gonna say no. If you actually pull off succeeding, I think Donald Trump would award you with at least the level of territory.
Yeah.
Now, could it take you 30 or 40 years to prove that you're state worthy? Yeah. Do you have a problem with that? I don't think you do. Because you'd be in American territory now
But in
and
the
not a
meantime, your
Canadian province.
territory, you know, like Guam and Kwajalein and Puerto Rico and everybody else. Yeah.
Hmm.
Why not?
Speaking of libertarians, listen, Rand Paul does some good stuff, but he's a
Uh,
libertarian. Thomas Massey does some good stuff, but he's a libertarian. The only reason they got voted in is because they ran on the Republican ticket. Let's just call it for what it is. So Massey, or sorry, Paul, what's her name? Makowski. There was someone else that voted in affirmative with the Democrats today to restrain the president's ability to tariff.
it,
I've got an
it,
issue with that. I understand Paul's libertarian thinking is this that Congress controls the purse strings, but you haven't done that. There hasn't been a budget passed, a legal constitutional budget
binding constitutional budget.
since Reagan. So spare me your
Yeah.
libertarian ways.
Right.
I don't want to hear it. We need to fix things fast, which is what the executive branch is supposed to do.
Right.
Now, Senate, he is correct in this. The Senate, which is why they get a 6-year term, is supposed to slow things down so you don't have reactionary populist actions
Yeah,
happening.
absolutely. Yeah. Of
I'm
course.
okay with that. I'm okay
Yeah.
with that. Congress, which only gets 2-year terms, I wish we would hold many of them to those. We don't. We let them sit in there for 40 years. Is supposed to be more reactionary. The Senate is supposed to slow them down. I get what his pomp and circumstance was about, but screw you, Paul. We're losing this country,
Yeah.
and we need the executive branch through Trump to make
Right.
massive, sweeping changes globally
Right.
to fix things. So
Yeah.
screw you, Rand Paul.
Yeah.
And if you want to come on the podcast and tell me how I'm wrong, trust me, we'll get you the email. But no, you're wrong. You're just wrong. Listen, you can stand on your libertarian principles all you want. You're not living in the correct timeline. You're just not.
So my main concern with Rand Paul is he um, touts a bunch of this, that, and the other, and just says it out loud, but he doesn't offer an alternative solution, which is the same with all of them.
Mhm.
Don't complain, dude, unless you got an alternative. I don't like the tariffs because this, and this. Okay, fine. What's your alternative? What are you putting forth that's going to make America better? And you're not doing that. You're not saying anything. You're just complaining. So I've got pockets full of shut the fuck up.
Right.
Just shut the fuck up, dude.
Right.
And that's what and I gotta say, Sean, I feel that way with all politicians on either side of the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a complaint, you know, and that's the way we run in the military. I don't mind you bringing me a complaint, dude. You need to bring me a solution. Don't call it to my attention and not have a solution. You know, we work until 5 o'clock, but at 10 after 4, nobody works and everybody's putting their tools away, you know, all that kind of stuff. And that's not right. Okay. So what are you doing about it? What's your solution to making them bitches work until 5 p.m.?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Th-
If you don't have a solution, shut up. Just shut the hell up.
1000% agree. And I've been on both sides of that. So I've been on the management side of that, where I'll get these complaints, right, and just like, what would you do different? Make them work. Okay, thanks, thanks, thanks for
So let
coming
me
in
a-
and
so let
wasting my.
me ask you, do you did you physically do that and go back to your team members and go, okay, I acknowledge that, overtime's out of control, or you're overworking us and not paying overtime, whatever it is. What's your solution? I mean, as a manager,
Absolutely.
yeah, you
And
got it.
a lot of times you just get the make them do this, make them do that.
Yeah,
Every once in a while, you get a good idea and you implement it.
yep,
You do. And I've also been on the other end where I was the one that had the idea, and I was like, this is not going to go over well, but I'm going to make a suggestion.
propose it anyway. Yeah,
And I did, and about 75% of my proposal was implemented. This is when I was doing logistics. I was like, like, this just makes more sense. It will go smoother. And this it was a communications issue, and a limited amount of fork trucks, is what we had, and uh, so outbound full truckload, loaded all day, but so I did a LTL outbound. We only loaded basically from 4 to 5 p.m. because we did it daily and we scheduled live. And I said,
sure.
we need to stop loading full truckload at 4 and move the 3 fork truck drivers over to LTL at 4. And for an hour, they're going to service LTL, less than a load. And once we implemented that, everybody's like, holy shit, everything just got easier. But, right, at first it was hard because they're like, we still got an
Sure.
hour where we need to. No, you need to start doing something else to prepare for tomorrow, because
Right.
from now on, 4 to 5 o'clock, only 1 hour out of the entire 8 hour day, those forklift drivers are going to be dedicated to LTL, because there's trucks pulling into the bay waiting to get. And I would load out 13, 14 full truckloads of LTL, in an hour, whereas it took them 7 hours to load 13 truckloads of.
Oh my God, really?
Well, look, I'm that's a management issue on them, not me. I was
Yeah,
managing LTL, but I was able to do it in an hour, and I said, I need dedicated my 3 trucks. I need the 3 trucks with 3 drivers for an hour every day. Once we made the change, management went, I think Sean's a fucking genius. And I said, that's great. Can I have a raise? And they laughed. We all laughed. We had a good fucking time.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right?
Hey,
Fucking
way
good
to
shit.
go, Sean. No.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
this is cool. You're saving us a bunch of money. And no. All right, man. We made the hour. I don't know what we're going to talk about Friday. Put on the list Rwanda. And what was the other country that Trump's going to start deporting people to? You'll find out Friday. Have a good night.
Awesome. See you, bro.
Hey, Paul, I can't figure out how to turn this shit off.
Huh?
What? I don't have any